Doing anything now? See if it's doing anything now. Good morning. Hello. Two, and it looks like we're going to have some problems today. The Wi-Fi is having a hard time because of all the trees you see behind me. Um, anyway, we are on the edge of Washington near, I believe, the Idaho. And it's going to be ugly. I can see that OBS is going on and off. I have no idea. The Wi-Fi broadcast is right next to me. So we're going to do what we can. And anyway, this morning, everybody should be. So, yes, OBS has disconnected 3 times and reconnected, thankfully. Uh, so, this is the one we're going to do. And let me see here. I'm going to put up the drawing so that you can get started or take your phone and take a picture of the sketch and you can start drawing. I'll give you a minute or two to get your phones out and get you may hear some background noise because we're camped in a campsite that I can't think of the name of. Um, but we're near the trash can and the restrooms. So sometimes you may hear door trash can lid pounding. But it's been very peaceful here. It's the end of the season. The campground is not full. We have, let's see, one neighbor in sight, and then another neighbor deep through the trees. And the other way, I don't think we can see anybody. Pretty nice. Mm. So hopefully you've got that drawing going. And I am going to go ahead and uh, get us set up here so you can see what I'm doing. And let's see here. There we go. All right, there's the little drawing up above. And I'm going to attempt to make some kind of a drawing. I'm using this one as I think a medium. Uh, this is a Pilot 74, custom 74, which most of my fountain pens are. I enjoy that model. I did. And you can see I brought the fence down into the edge of the painting here. And also, this one has a slightly higher horizon line, which would be right in back in here. And I could have put the house just slightly lower on it. But here's the thing. See how the fence does not cover up the building there? That would imply that I'm standing just above the fence when I took the reference photo. When I took this reference photo, as I say, Sherry and I were on the Mount Baker Highway. So in Washington. So that would imply that my head was above the fence. This one in the sketchbook here, you can see the difference. This paper is terrible. You can see, for one thing, the difference in the quality of this is real watercolor paper and this is junk watercolor paper in this sketchbook. But I like to at least catch the memory there in that book. So in any case, the fence does not go above the building there. it does go into the building here. I'm going to make a light horizon line. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it shouldn't. It's sort of like the horizon line should be level. Okay. And let's see, where am I going to put my building? I'm going to come in here a little bit. I'm going to sway my roof a little bit and come down and maybe come down. This one might come out a little goofy, but we'll see. And I'm going to slant this down just a little bit because I want it to be like it's in perspective. This line does not really go all the way through there. So let's get the barn, and this edge of the, I'm not sure if this is a barn. I couldn't tell from the road. I didn't walk up to the house and ask them. But uh, the thing is so weird, so odd with this high pitched, whatever this is in the front, that I couldn't tell if it was a barn or what it was. So, the rules in urban sketching actually say that we try to show what's there, try to be true to the scene. But I find that it's a little restricting for me. Now, on this copy, on this one, you can see I put some fence posts back here in the distance here. Okay, that's the one we're doing. You are welcome to leave those out if you don't care for them. They're very small, like this one. And also on this one, you may see, let's see if there's enough light for you to see. The light is still dappled, but the sun is going up, so it'll disappear here in a little bit, and it won't be such a problem for you. You can see I put a little mailbox on one of the. Every time that OBS goes offline, I get a bling. Okay, you should have a horizon, a little thing here that tentatively goes to what would be a horizon line out there. And so the tops of these I made almost level across, but the bottom goes up because they're going further and further in the distance. So the light should be leveling out. I know it's kind of dark. Hopefully you can see it. But we're just working with what we've got out here. And you will more than likely want some that's in the H series. Ah, thank you, Sherry. I'm glad you can see it. It is blipping on and off though. Okay, let's see. Let's put some trees in here, and I think you may be getting used to doing some of these trees. This one's kind of a big fluffy one here in the background. And then there's a couple that you can make them a little shorter. They're not quite as tall. They're more like poplar trees, if you ever have seen those. Yeah, there's a big one over here. You can see that I drew this one considerably. You can see that I drew this one considerably different than the first one up here, like this. And there are down here, not a whole board that goes all the way. Let's see here. I'm going to put this tree, maybe it's actually a house, and this be the barn in real life. They're looking pretty. Happen to either be in Washington or get to Washington. I'd like that to be down a little bit more. And then I'm going to finish it off. I'm not going to have quite as many trees as you are. Left off the drawing that I will show you here. I have my tea. I guess it depends on where you are, but for me, it's still a little early, not bad. 9 o'clock. Of course, we get up this morning a little bit before 6, but it takes me a while to wake up. Then it takes me a while to set all this up. I much research on Washington artists, but there's one that I kind of liked her stuff as I was looking through things. Her name, some things were soft. So you get a chance, you can look her up and see what you think of her work. Maybe she'll have something you'd like to get started with. Hopefully it's not too dim, folks. Let's see, I'm going to put, you can see my palette here. I've got this little one. I'm going to leave it out of the picture here. It's the same colors, the same pigments as I have in this one, just that this one's running a little bit short and is just color very often, but it is kind of helpful if you have space. This is Viridian. Silver-haired Sketchers. I think we have that. I have that as a nickname for this channel. And um, very light blue. That's a little bit neutral. It's what's in here, so it's not. But now this is going to be a kind of a tricky thing for some of you. Let's see here. Well, I'm not going to move it. I'm going to just kind of hold it up a little bit. I'm going to make the sky first. And this is odd because it's important that all of these, the sky and these background, the mountains, that you put them in relatively lightly because we are going to paint right over these trees with the sky and eventually the mountain. And you want your trees to show up, but this way we're experimenting with trying to create sky holes in here or leave sky holes. So I'm going to tip this back the other way. I'm taking some of that material out just so there's a little variation in the sky. Wetting my brush, cleaning it on my rag, t-shirt rag. And I'm going to let that kind of dry up just for a moment or two. Want it to still be damp but not totally wet. And I don't want to come in with wet, dark next to it, blue, that is just on the edge of turning brown. Oh, somebody started a truck over there. Hopefully you can still hear me. What I'm doing here is making a color that's going to go right in behind the trees. And this first wash, though, that we're doing with the color, we want it to be pretty light. See how you can see that it's there. You just barely put the paint up on here. Now, if you got really, then this is going to try and seep up in there, and you're going to have to come back and touch it up. But if you got this with not a lot of water in the material, if you made a light material and then but didn't soak that up there. And so when we start putting in the trees, leave holes. Everybody see that? Now I am going to come back and darken some of the mountain, maybe the whole thing or even a little bit. But I won't have to worry about the sky holes as much if I go ahead and here's 50, but you can of course them. But the idea was that seniors need a place where they can do work, be accepted by everybody, hopefully in the future be able to meet other like-minded people, sketchers, and wow, that looks a lot darker on the screen than I see it here on the paper. Okay, I'm gonna let that someday maybe I'll have some better that that reveal the true color. Mine is this is lime green in the real one in my hand. What I'm seeing on the screen is more of a yellow ochre. So for mine, I am going to mix a good bit of lemon yellow with just a little bit of the azo green. You can use azo green or sap green but you want something that's pretty light. And while I'm going along, see some of these darker areas? Well, that's a shadow I put in, but I'll show you as I go. Here we go. I'm going to put a little bit of this lighter color in here. I'm not going to worry too much about whether I define perfectly the bushes because they're going to change anyway. They're going to get painted dark. On some of the areas here, I'm taking a little bit of water and lightening the color so it will come out lighter. And if you do something to one side of the post, you want it to semi-match on the other side. So while that's wet, though, I'm going to leave a wet edge here. Make sure I have some wet going on this edge while I work on that part. And that way I can come back in a moment and still work on this without it leaving a line. While this is still wet, I'm going to just dab right into my darker. I'm just grabbing a little bit of yellow ochre that was on the other palette. Just put a little yellow ochre. I put some right up to. I'm going to go back to my original mixture and just let them kind of blend together. I've got too much water on my brush. It shouldn't just run on the paper. Grab some of our mixture. When I started this video, it was about 50. I think these are, I don't know. Just drove here from the last location. Um, not not yesterday, but the day before. You don't have to make your little darks just like mine. Just have some interest in there. Faces. We'll put some yellow ochre brush in here. And you can, if you really want to take the time, you can leave on this one. When I was painting it, I did my brush strokes like this and left white in there. So when I put that yellow ochre on, it showed up more because there was some white with where I painted negative space by painting the green down in lines and leaving open white space. There was a joke on it connecting so often that I don't know for sure if you're hearing me. The joke was, have you heard of the two blind cyclopses? Neither have I. This tree. And I made this one. Let's see how it looks. And again, I've got too much material on my brush. You might do better if you're using a smaller brush. This one is a number 10. I really like these. For a long time, I used travel brushes, and in the old days, I used to, not the old days, just 5 years ago, maybe, I used to recommend sable. All right, I'm gonna go back to some bluish, a little bit more bluish green here, and do another tree. I didn't draw in sky holes, but I'm trying to leave them. I'm going, I'm going to put just, and once again in a couple of spots, take out some on the right so that it, on my brush. Oh, you could use cad yellow, light if you want. I'm going to put in a little bit of cad yellow, medium, I think this is, or just, this is just cad yellow. And I'm going to put a little more of the green mixture in this tree than I did in the previous one, so that it's just, it's not quite as turning quite as fast as the other one did. Oh, there's a trash can. Someone just came by. And kaboom, a trash can. That quickly because I had just, again, too much material on my brush. Bad habit I think I've gotten into, I'm not sure. It seems to happen too often. And we're getting there. I'm sorry if I hope this is not dark. I don't have my phone set up to, the reception on my phone is very poor this morning because we're remote. So the only thing that's working is the Wi-Fi. And as you can tell by how this keeps blipping in and out, The Wi-Fi is pretty sketchy. On the house, it's kind of a grayish brown color. That's for the house, the side, the roof, the everything. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of ultramarine blue, small mixture of ultramarine blue, and a touch of burnt sienna, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to make a bit more of the mixture here. Put in a little bit more. I think they're here to clean the restrooms. Which this location, I wish I could remember the name of it and give them a plug because that's way too dark. So more water and spread it out. And that's really not, I'm going to put in a little touch of burnt umber. And what you want to do with this, I'm going to go ahead and do this, but while this is like this, while it's wet, you want to play with it. Let me get some of this material off and we can play better. Okay. Okay. So what I do is I'm getting one that this material on my brush looks pretty brownish. I might get a little bit more of the burnt sienna and put some, see what I'm playing here at? And then I'm going to go ahead and just take some of my mixture. I'm going to even cover the window there. Do it with a moisture on your brush. I'm still using too much moisture. And we'll just let that kind of dry up. On the front of the house is similar, but we're going to try a little bit different technique here. I'm going to put in a light gray over the whole thing. And then we'll come back as this dries up. You can make this a brownish gray. Mine's a little bit of a bluish gray. And I'm going to make some spots so that very light color, maybe even leave a little bit of white up there. That was with a damp brush and just a tiny bit of pigment. And we'll do some kind of similar stuff. I'm just barely touching the burnt sienna. Putting some little notes in there. I'm going to come back with the yellow ochre. Put some light notes in there. I'm going to throw in just the cad yellow to lighten this up just a little bit. Wow, it sounds like there must be a school. We're near the town of Newport. Oh, that's not. I'm gonna let this dry up and put a little bit more in it. Make it a little darker. I think they come just for the fun of it because there's people easily as competent as I am. I'm just putting a light thing on the roof there to make it not straight white. some darker green down here for these for this hedgerow that's in the beginning of the forest. I'm using a little ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt umber, and a little bit of the azo green. I do want it to be not black, but pretty dark. That might be a little too dark. So a little more of the green. The original, I put a red. Just it's kind of a highlight, some kind of bush that's there that turned red before. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this green out. I'm going to take some straight red here, put a little bit in there. And it'll mix with the green and make a darker side there. Maybe a little bit something up here. Okay. Wow, that is working. Take a little bit of this yellow ochre. Get very little small ones on your brush there. Don't cover everything because we're going to come back. We're going to come back with some darker colors, some other color. We're just putting in a few little blades of grass sticking up here and there. You would want a one or two here. You can put a little bit more out here. Oops, here comes the sun. I'll keep this in the shade because I don't like that it's dark, but I don't have the ability to keep it lit with an even sunlight. So, and it's better dark. If you've ever done that, painted in the great outdoors, if you've ever painted on location, one of the problems is if you see if I can show you, if you do this, put it in the sunlight, your palette, your eyes, and as a consequence, you paint from there's a morning or something like that, a breakfast blend of New Mexico, but there's several of them that we like. Anyway, but out here, those come, they're loose, and you have the loose grunt leaves to deal with after you brew the tea. And when we're camping, that's a kind of a pain because water is a lot of times. So when we're camping, we use the tea bags. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put in a very light color, little yellow ochre and a little burnt sienna over the whole thing here. I wish that sun would go behind can you still see this if I move? Go behind the awning. I put the awning out on purpose, hoping that the sun, because it's rising over there on that side, hoping that the sun would be blotted out. Just put in a light color over the whole thing. You can leave if you want to. You could leave a couple of little areas of white here and there. Does add a little highlight to it. the camera up a little bit, move my work up a little bit so that lean or the if you like to lean or the if you like to work with purples, some people like to do that. And on this whole area here, mine is still a little damp. Maybe I won't do that quite yet. I am going to put a first layer of dark in here. Wow, that's really pretty dark. I might not need another layer. And right here at the bottom, leave that. See how I did that just a month or so. We're no longer on the coast. In fact, we're not even on a river that I know of. I'm gonna go ahead down here and take some, put in some dark. I'm making it a little bit more, a little browner with one of the browns. And just put in a little bit of something on the edge here so that the one side is getting sunlight and the other side is not. Mine are a little wet still to be doing this. But I'm doing it anyway. Okay. I'm going to take that shadow mixture that I had and start putting some. This has kind of a no telling what the real shape is here because the ground the I'm not going to play with it too much because I don't want. And I can start by putting just a small shadow line under here. Same with this. I can kind of outline that area there. And I can take a pretty dark little mixture and just put little bits in these windows. And this door to say this place was at. Put some interest in this. And a little bit more here and there. Maybe a little bit. Let's put a little bit on the front here. A little bit of a lighter color. Man, that squirrel's really going crazy over there. Let's soften some of this up a little bit. If your mountain is not as dark, now that you have your sky holes in there, your sky holes are there, you can come back with some darker color. I'm going to lean mine a little bit to the brown side. So I pretty blued up that mountain. I'm just going to put some, I make it just a little bit darker. and try and leave some variation in it when I do it so that it's not all just one layer of dark over it. Come back in on the trees with the color of the mountain, with the color of the mountain, your final color. It covers up so much of the leaves that they don't show very well. At least I think so. So it's something, I haven't done a lot of it, but I'm working with it. And I think it works. Things are starting to dry up a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow ochre. Go ahead, turn my page, if you can see that. I'm going to put my hand over the fence because I don't want this up in this area, but just down here, put a few splashes. And you can just put a few little marks if you'd like. I just kind of put a little interest in there, you know. And you might put in another little bit like that. You don't have to have the, just make some suggestions where that there were roof lines. I'll do the same thing back here. Some of them coming up from the bottom, some of them coming down from the top, and little ones going across here. I'm also going to just put some little, you can try to paint yours in if you like, if you have a small, real small brush, fine here. I just, for urban sketches, come back with a fountain pen and put a few loose branches coming in here. After you dryly view and put in where I put in fountain pen here, you can put your shadow color in there. You can also put a few lines in the fence posts, which these were very thick fence posts. I mean, they didn't look quite like railroad ties on it. And here, and here. I'm going to put some little dark notes in here with my fountain pen. And this has that same thing, you know. And put a little more. In fact, you can see, watch this. I'm going to put some wider area here with the fountain pen. And that makes it look as though that area, you know what it looks like. Looks like the wood has just kind of rotted away and there's a hole there. Gives it a little interest. I think I'm going to run out of time today, but hopefully you get the idea. You can play with yours, and if you took a photograph of the drawing as we end today, I will put the drawing up and leave it there for a while so that there's still a few more things I would do to this one, but I think I would darken this up with one more layer. Oh yes, let's do this too. Let's go ahead and put shadow here. This is darker. And there's a little bit of a shadow here coming. Don't forget to put a little bit of shadow down here, like the fence post might have a little shadow. Not a big long one sticking out, just a little something down at the bottom of them. Of them. You can, if you need to. You don't have to, but you can put a little bit more shadow in there if you need to. I don't think mine really needs it. I'm just showing you. My suggestion is that you do 2 or 3 of them, and you learn every time you do one. You learn a little bit. I mean, what was his name? The guy that painted the lily pads? Monet. He painted one building in Venice over 100 times. Now, he was selling them, I think. So, as for financial reasons, I don't know, but they were in all different lights, all different, a little bit different views, but mostly the same. Let's see. I have the map up here somewhere so that you can get an idea of what it'll look like when you finish. There's that one. Like I say, there's a few things I'd touch up. I might get rid of some of this white. On this one, I came back with a white gel pen. I can't read the label here. It just says jelly roll. And I just put a little white in here, highlight here and there. I put a little white caps on a few of these posts. I put in this white here just to give it so that your eye goes to that little bit there. A little bit of highlights here on the fence posts, which I did not put in on this one. But I can't use this until the painting is dry. So there you go. There's a pattern for you. Painting. Like I say, this part really could be, this shadow could be quite a bit darker. You can see, I think it looks better in this one that I did. Oh, it's darker here. It's not all just dark. I mean, there is some reflected light there, so you still see part of the wall here. So, but if I had time, when this dries up, I think I'll put another layer of dark material on another wash on this one. And I might see how this is lighter here? I might take a little bit of this material out on the front here, make this stand out more, darken this up, are a little bit than they are in this painting. All in all, I like this one just a little bit better. Oh, don't forget to put in the wire fence. You can do this with pencil or pen, doesn't matter. And you want to put remember it's wrapped around. I'm just going to put a squiggle here on that one. Just for interest. There you go. All right, I'm going to put the drawing up so that as you go, if you didn't get a chance to get the drawing, let's see here. Close that one off, close that. I'm going to say, that one's off, that one. There it is. Get your camera or your phone and you can take a picture of that one. Oh, let me close out that small drawing there. There you go. You can take a picture of that. And hopefully you got a picture. And I will see you the next time. There's the forest behind me. Let's see. Oh, It's not a background. It kind of looks like a background thing in there. That it really is the forest. When we travel again, hopefully next year, or as the time goes on, I will come up with a better so I can show you some of this area. Let's see here. Well, I guess that's about as good as I can do it. Have a good one, folks. We'll see you the next time. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, all that kind of stuff. Thumbs up if you can. Here you go. Stay safe. Oh, remember the silver-haired sketcher thing. Try finding Michael Spader by typing in silver-haired sketchers. It comes out a lot of times with Skechers shoes, but I think if enough people keep trying it, it'll eventually